It may be 92 million miles away from our planet, but the sun could cause some problems and give us a good show in the sky sometime this weekend. This past Thursday night at 11:35, when a major coronal mass ejection, a solar flare, erupted off the sun. You can see it right down here. I'll loop it through a few times. A little mini explosion. Well, that solar flare sent lots of particles and energy toward our planet. And this happens from time to time. This one happened to be a little bit stronger.
And there was a spectacular show in the sky last night as the clocks went back. The northern lights were more visible than usual because of a large solar flare. Particles shooting out from the sun interacting with the Earth's magnetic field. This picture was taken in Norway. But the lights were also visible in the UK. This was the beautiful view from Belhaven Bridge in Dunbar in Scotland.
Colorado is on the cusp of seeing the Northern Lights Halloween weekend following a huge solar flare. The U.S. Space Weather Prediction Center issued a strong geomagnetic storm watch for the weekend after a large solar flare happened Thursday morning.
Well, some more pretty pictures to bring you now. We're going to leave with these actually. It's the capital of Iceland, Reykjavik, where these are coming from. A huge solar flare unleashed this green sparkling wave of the Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis, up into the skies above Iceland, just in time for Halloween, of course. Quite a picture too. Green, it's the colour of the moment, isn't it? Don't forget the COP summit taking place in Glasgow. And there it is, that's Glasgow for you. And we'll be seeing that, a lot of that, over the course of the next 12 days as leaders seek further solutions to the climate crisis facing us all.
The award for the Physical Scientist of the Year went to Dr. Keith Bannister from the CSIRO. Dr. Bannister's research on intergalactic radio waves is helping answer some of astronomy's biggest questions.
And we use that telescope to find these bursts. They are bursts of radio waves. They last a millisecond and they're gone. And then once we found one, we actually zoomed in on its location in a galaxy, and then we got in touch with our colleagues from around the world and used telescopes as far-flung as Hawaii and Chile to find out really what we could find out about that particular burst at the time. Yeah. But the interesting thing was that we found was that they actually come from all sorts of types of galaxies. So some really old galaxies and some brand new ones, some tiny galaxies and some big ones. And that's a really surprise, because usually when we see these sorts of phenomena, we'd expect that the place that they come from or the place that they live tells you a little bit about the type of object that made them. And what's really surprising again about these sorts of things is that these bursts in particular is that they seem to come from all sorts of galaxies, which poses another really interesting question about what kind of object can make them. That's still an open question for us.
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? I mean, what is producing these waves? How are these waves produced?
When you hear a sound in the middle of the night, safe to say, it's going to give you a jolt. This time, though, the jolt was real for those in the southeastern corner of Colorado. It was a 3.8 quake that struck there. It's not by any mapped fault lines.
That's why when a 3.8 magnitude earthquake rattled this corner, it caused quite the commotion.
The earthquake's epicenter was right over there in this cow pasture about 5 miles north and west of Pritchett. Sure, 3.8 magnitude quake isn't big by California or Alaska standards, but because it was closer to the Earth's surface than a lot of big tremors about 3 miles down, of the few people who felt the quake, it was much more noticeable than had it been deeper into the Earth's surface.
It was thunder times like 1,000.
Here, the red lines represent faults in Colorado. You can see the quake and its small aftershocks. They're nowhere near a fault line.
It's exciting to see, as a seismologist, these earthquakes that occur in places that we don't normally expect.
Safe to say, geophysicists have a different reaction to quakes. William Yeck says those mapped faults, the ones we know about, are much deeper. But it's a different story for faults closer to the crust.
In the subsurface, there are faults everywhere that we just don't know about.
Meanwhile, a 7.8 magnitude earthquake rocks Japan today, rocking large parts of the main island of Honshu, including Tokyo. No injuries or damage have been reported yet, but parts of the city are without power. The epicenter was near remote rural islands over 600 miles from Tokyo. No tsunami warnings have been issued so far.
An earthquake has shaken the Spanish island of La Palma, the strongest tremor since a volcano started erupting there last month. No significant damage was reported, but scientists say it's another sign that the eruption won't end soon.
Captivated by nature's fury, a fountain of magma gushing from the depths of the earth. For almost 6 weeks, rivers of molten rock have been flowing from Cumbre Vieja. A sea of lava burning at a sizzling 1300 degrees Celsius. The apocalyptic scene has become an unlikely tourist attraction. Experts say the latest earthquake could be a sign it's far from over. Ironically, not necessarily bad news for La Palma's economy.